He who has ears, I think everybody's got a pair, let him hear. He who has ears, let him hear. This is a tough gospel today. Someone asked Jesus, is everyone going to be saved? And we don't get the answer we would like, maybe. But let's look at it and dissect it a little bit. Where are you going after your brief layover here on earth? Because that's all it is a layover. Where are you going? How would you answer that question this morning on the 21st Sunday in Ordinary Time? What would you say if God appeared, as he will in a few minutes, in front of you? Are you ready? I still remember a nun who said in CCD, she taught at St. Michael's, everybody goes to heaven. Although I was still a child, I could still think for myself and knew she was flat out wrong. And I kept thinking to myself, if everyone goes to heaven, why be good then? Why be good? Now, if you were taught about fire and brimstone and that only a few people maybe are going to go to heaven, then at least you were taught something by someone who was a bit more knowledgeable than my friend the nun. Jesus passed through towns and villages teaching. And I usually, you know, each week I don't preach fire and brimstone at all, or at least I don't think I do. What I try to teach here on Sunday and at small groups and also in seminary class is what Christ taught and preached. It's that simple. You don't have to worry about what Jimmy Swaggart preaches and what this person preaches or what the Pope preaches. What does Jesus Christ preach? And that is going to be the most important thing, my brothers and sisters, for us as Christians. Strive to enter through the narrow gate, Jesus said. For many, I tell you, this is not my words. This is not the Pope's words. This is not the Bishop's words. He will say, many will try to attempt to enter, but they're not going to be strong enough. I've met a lot of people throughout my life, and I know you guys have as well. Many of them are friends. Some speak different languages. Some are poor, some are rich, some are married, some are single, some are men, some are women. Some are dead now, and some are still alive and with us. But what unites us all together is that we share a common suffering. We forget, as Christians, that suffering is also a part of our experience as Christians. Suffering. We don't like to think about it. I don't like to suffer. Oh my God, but that's part of it. That's part of being a Christian. If you can't embrace that suffering, try something else. I don't know what you want to try, but you could try something else, because suffering is part of our existence as Christians. Because, my brothers and sisters, life is difficult. It's really difficult. It's difficult for me, it's difficult for you, and why try to hide it and fool ourselves? Actually, can we even fool our children with it? Do we hide from our children our failures, our faults, our weaknesses, our difficulties, our trials, our tribulations? Some will even hide. In our country, they sanitize everything. They even hide death from children. Oh God, don't ever bring them to a wake. God forbid. They may see reality. Oh my God, we wouldn't want that to happen, would we? Some will even hide death in our society, thinking that we're going to live forever. Yesterday in the U.S., a young mother passed away, leaving her young kids behind. We see this so many times. I see it on Facebook time and time again, and it breaks your heart when a mother leaves children. A week ago, a child was playing outside and hit her head against the cement sidewalk. Today, she still struggles with walking. A few days ago, a man lost his job and his wife was diagnosed with a very rare disease. They have 2 grown children in college. All these things have brought very strong people to their knees. It's not a bed of roses, my brothers and sisters. As the song goes from the, I think, 1960s, I never promised you a rose garden. And that song is just as vital today as it was then. We see in our lives suffering. We see in other people's lives suffering. Many will attempt to enter but not be strong enough, Jesus says today. We're not as strong as we think that we are. We're really not strong at all as people. We're not as secure as we think we are. And 9/11 was a really constant reminder for all of us. We're not as powerful as we think we are. When storms like Katrina and Sandy are just some of the storms that we have seen in our lifetime. We look at the shootings almost weekly and count the numbers and say, God, is it going to be worse this week than last week with the numbers? Are children going to, die this week because of this problem? So instead of living more modestly in our life, relying more on family in our life, living frugally in our life, we can think we can live in debt forever, and that our friends and the government will always come to our rescue. Well, that's a fairy tale. Instead of acknowledging the strength and power that comes from God only, we think we can ignore everything else. And just through high-tech weapons and consumer goods, we can solve everything. My brothers and sisters, we are not like computers where we can change the hard drive when the hard drive dies. When our hard drive dies, it's fried. We're heading on to heaven, my brothers and sisters. But we can be much stronger. We can rely on God a little bit more to strengthen our foundations, our children, our families, and our faith. The 3 things that are so important to us. Hold on to your kids, hold tight to your families, and never let go of your faith. If you do those 3 things, you're golden. You're going through that narrow gate, my brothers and sisters, just by doing those 3 things. You don't have to do anything else. Hold on to your faith, hold on to your kids, and hold on to your families. If we do, then we will rebuild something new. That's something old. It's called the kingdom of God. And out of all the lies people have created and actually believed in, the biggest and the longest ongoing lie has been this one. Security through our possessions. If we own a lot of things, we're secure. Owning much does not guarantee a long life here on earth. This security through possessions is known by various names. My career, the infrastructure, my friends, my money, my savings, my investments, my eating right. All these things are supposed to save us some way. Many years ago, I bought a pair of running shoes. Probably was in like the late 80s, early 90s. I bought a pair of running shoes because I was going to get healthy. I was going to work out every day. And I bought a magazine subscription. I think it's called Running. And I would look in the articles at how good running is for you. It builds up your heart, and it does. And I would read article after article on the greatness of running. And there was one gentleman who ran the magazine. And he was a runner. He ran marathons all over the world. And in his late 30s, dropped dead from a heart attack. Of a heart attack.
Get fixed.
Terrible. And I said to myself, oh my God, I can't rely on just running. I can't rely also on our money, on our insurances. There's no insurance big enough for your life. There's only one insurance policy that's big enough for your life, both this life and the next. We can also have fun in this life. I don't want to be a downer. We can also have a lot of fun in this life, and it's a good thing to do. But when the bad stuff comes, and we know it's going to come, we also have to accept it. We have to accept it. The only lifeline that you have to success, happiness, and love and fulfillment is through Him. Try everything else. I'm going to just give you a little bit of a hint. I've tried 99% of the things. There's nothing better than Him. He's the real thing. Now, I know that those who believe it will deny it, but actually live by it. They'll say that my career is my life, my friends are my real family, my money is my guarantee, my savings and my insurance, eating healthy and eating right will keep me alive for a long time. But I think it's also good to realize that all these things will not keep you going forever, no matter how good you eat or how good you exercise. But I think the good news is that someone can believe in all these lies, then it won't be hard for us to believe in the truth that only through God can we survive. Reality is on our side. Reality brings us back to the truth of the gospel. So strive to go through that narrow gate. How about let's try something different for a change, something that works, something new, but actually something old. Jesus Christ and the gospel. There is nothing that will ensure you heaven as those things. Following Jesus Christ, not just on Sunday, but on Monday when we don't feel like we're very Christian, we got to go back to work. But each and every day, try and strive to get through that narrow gate. I don't want to scare you and bring you fire and brimstone, but these are the facts. If I didn't preach to you these facts, it would be malpractice on my part. So I have to tell you what Jesus is saying. The gate is really narrow, really narrow. That doesn't mean that you can't make it. Of course you're going to make it. Of course you're going to make it. I'm hoping that we all do. Not everything in life has to be expensive. Instead of our schools investing in more police and more metal detectors, why don't we create a little bit of a time of prayer in school? And maybe not a prayer that's a Christian prayer, but maybe a silent prayer. It doesn't cost a thing. It's a natural thing to be quiet for a few seconds and pray. Just be quiet in school. We've lost the way, I'll tell you. I mean, you can see it. When you need metal detectors in school, you got a problem, kids. This is just craziness. When guns are on the news each and every week, you have a big problem. And the problem is hatred. The problem is hatred. And there's only one antidote to that hatred. He's hanging on that cross right in front of you. And He'll be with us in a few minutes in the Eucharist to come back into your life each and every Sunday. My brothers and my sisters, life is not easy, and you're not promised a rose garden, but let's strive. Let's do something. Let's invite the Lord to be with us, because He will walk through that narrow gate with us. We're supposed to work for it a little bit. We're supposed to do something. Strive sounds a lot like the word try. Try and try and try. And if you fall, He understands that. That's one thing. He's a merciful God. If you fall, realize He's always there to pick you up. And we're going to fall a million times. But if you get up and strive to go through that narrow gate the best that you can, you're going to have a place in heaven one day. Amen?